To be honest, I didn't finish reading this next book, but do you need to eat 10 pounds of shit before you realize you don't like the taste? Nah, I'm just playing with you. I read Metro 2033 and it kicked ass.
This is the introduction song. It's not very good, but it's not too long.
So, if you've heard the name Metro 2033 before, that's probably because they've made a couple of video games based on the book. And, while I haven't played them, I am pretty familiar with them. And, I've seen a bunch of them being played. So, I am, familiar with it. And I can tell you that the book, while I wouldn't really say it's better or worse, it is different enough that even if you've played the games, it is still kind of its own thing. And it's very, very good as well. Like, it's, the story is 20 years after this giant nuclear war, which wiped out the whole planet. The people that lived in Moscow went down, or they did it right after the war, they went down into the subway tunnels in the Moscow metro, and they just stayed there, and, it shielded them from the radiation, and they've just been there for 20 years, just growing food and shit, and forming societies and all that. And the main character of the story is this guy named Artyom, who was born right before the bombs went off, and his station, which in Russian it's called, it's abbreviated as VDNH, or VDNKH, but in English and in the games they usually call it Exhibition, so I'm just going to call it that for because it's easier. So anyways, Artyom's lives at the station called Exhibition, and they keep getting attacked by these weird creatures called Dark Ones. And believe me, the less you know about those going in, the better. One day, this other guy named Hunter comes up, and he says that he is going to try and get information on the Dark Ones, and Artyom needs to go to this other station called Polis, which is really far across the metro, and he needs to warn them about the Dark Ones and give them all the information that he can so that they can try and fight them. And then the story unfolds. It's a very simple setup, but I think that worked best for this book, honestly. Like, a lot of the story is just the various misadventures that Artyom goes on his way to Polis, because it takes him, I think about a week in the book's time, it takes him to get from Exhibition to Polis, and he gets there about 2/3 through, and then the rest of the story kicks in. But a huge chunk of the book is just filled up with little subplots, like Artyom running into communists, Artyom getting kidnapped by Nazis, just things like that. And it was kind of enjoyable, but at the same time, it did feel like filler. And I think that's the biggest problem with this book, or the second biggest problem, let's say. Because, like, I wanted to read about Artyom getting to Polis and then giving them information, and then they all fight the Dark Ones. And this isn't really that kind of book I get. It's kind of talking about, humans and how we fight each other and other things and how we just always destroy shit. Like, it has a dim view of human nature, and I get that most of the little side stories are meant to convey that. But still, I would have preferred a more cohesive plot. But honestly, like I said, the very beginning of the book and the last third are all about the Dark One storyline, so it's not too big a deal. Another thing that I really didn't like was just Artyom. Now, in the games, he doesn't have a whole lot of personality. He almost never talks, and he's really just a lens through which to view the world. Now, I don't like that when they do that in games, but it is kind of acceptable because, you're the one controlling the character, and you can really just immerse yourself in there. In a book, it's a lot more annoying, at least to me. Because Artyom, at the beginning, he's kind of interesting, because I won't spoil it, but he feels guilty about something that he did, and he's also looking for adventure. Now, and that's why he agrees to go to Polis for Hunter. Now, the whole looking for adventure thing, that's been done to death since literally forever. That's pretty much every story ever is a normal guy going on an adventure. But the whole guilt aspect of it was kind of interesting. I won't say what he's guilty of, obviously, but I thought that was interesting, but they never really explored that part of it. So, for really the whole book, Artyom's just a dude who does what other people tell him, and that's just not interesting. You know, he's just the lens through which we view the story, and I didn't like that. And honestly, Artyom's the only character that you spend any significant amount of time with, so that's slightly worse. I mean, there's some side characters, and they're kind of interesting. I mean, there's people like Khan, who's a fucking weirdo, but he is interesting. And then there's people like this old man he meets named Mikhail, who is not in the book very much, but he is also interesting. And then there's Artyom's stepfather, Sukhoi, I believe he's called. And he's barely in it, but he's pretty interesting and likable while he's there. Like, there's really no main characters for this other than Artyom, and he's just boring, so that's also a pretty big disappointment. Especially because in the games, you actually spend some time with characters and you get to know them a lot better. And so, if you're looking for that in this, then you're going to be disappointed just like I was. There's also just not enough of the Dark Ones in this book. I mean, when they show up, they're fucking terrifying, believe me. I'll get to that in just a second. But, I mean, they're supposed to be this gigantic, humanity-ending threat to the Metro. Like, they're afraid the Dark Ones will come in and kill everybody. And that's a reasonable fear. But, also, we just never see enough of them to truly get just how threatening they are. I mean, because like I said, the whole book is really just focused on Artyom fighting other people, mostly. And so they kind of suffer for that. And if they had just had a couple of scenes more with the Dark Ones, like somewhere in the middle of the book, then it would have been considerably better overall. As much as I've been complaining about this for the past couple of minutes, this book still kicks serious ass. I mean, the only real reason for that is because of the setting and some of the sequences in the book. Now, this book has a lot of horror aspects to it, which is pretty much inevitable because it's all underground. And the Metro itself is basically a character in this book. I mean, it's huge, obviously, and Artyom has no idea how huge it is. No one really knows everything. Like, they make it clear at the very beginning that all of the information and maps they have are spotty at best. There's no guarantee that that their information is accurate, that this place is really run by this group, or maybe everyone there is dead now. And when Artyom wanders off alone and stuff, there always just seems to be something lurking in the shadows, ready to attack him. And you don't know if it might be another person, or if it might be a mutated animal, or the Dark Ones, or something else supernatural that we just don't know about, or maybe he's just imagining things. Like, the Metro is fucking terrifying. Like, being able to make that come off the page is... I mean, I've never really seen it done this way before. Like, it's fucking amazing. Like, you feel like the whole thing is just crushing you and pressing in on you. It's amazing. Like, I mean, they did it in the games pretty well, too. But, I mean, that's visual, so that's easier to do. And the fact that they were able to do it in this book is just... I mean, I've never even seen that done before. And I don't know if I'll ever see it done again. As a tangent to that, some of the action sequences in this are the most intense things I've ever read in my fucking life. I mean, moments where Artyom is fighting or running away from something or hiding from something, I'm not going to spoil it, because, believe me, the less you know going into this, the better. I mean, there's like several page long action scenes or just running scenes that after I read them, I had to set the book down and just take a couple of deep breaths, because it is intense, man. I don't really know how else to put that. It's like, don't read this if you have a heart condition, because it will probably kill you. I mean, I don't exactly even know how Dmitry Glukhovsky was able to write it like that. And Uh, Another problem I have with this that might not bother other people too much, it just feels like it's written weird. Like, the dialogue's a little odd, and the, sometimes the narration just goes off on these long tangents. And part of that might just be because it was translated. Because there's no such thing as a perfect translation. This book was originally Russian, and then they brought it to English, so things are going to be lost. You know, it's kind of like watching a movie without the sound on. You're not going to get the whole story. And I do kind of wish I read Russian so that I could just read this book originally. But as it is, for the most part, excuse me, it's kind of weird, and it was a little confusing at a couple of points. But it's really not that bad. And like I said, the action parts are the most intense shit I've ever read. So in conclusion, this book, while it does have some problems, the awesome parts of it are just so amazing that I'd still say it's a great book. I mean, the plot is a little wonky at times. There's not really any interesting characters, but the setting and the tone of it are fucking horrifying and just the most amazing shit ever. The action sequences are intense as hell. I mean, there's really no reason for me not to recommend this book. Like, if it doesn't sound like something you'd enjoy, then this probably won't change your mind. You know, like, it is horror mostly, and there is some thriller stuff in there, but overall, it's, there's not really any romance. It's not really that compelling of a character study, because, I mean, the idea that humanity is self-destructive and violent is something I've seen a bunch of times. But despite all the problems I have with this book, and even some of them are major, it still kicks ass. So I would recommend this book to pretty much everybody.